I'm here with Shontaé Williams of CODE BLAQ. Shontaé, how are you doing today?
I am doing very well today, Michael. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Well,
Good.
for quite a few people, probably don't necessarily know just how much of my world is interwoven with yours. And yet, I do think that it's something to talk about. COVID was one of the most devastating things that happened within the last decade.
Yeah.
For many people, they lost their lives, many people lost their jobs, they had many hardships around the pandemic in general. And for some, they found blessings through it. And you're one of those
Yeah.
people who found blessings. You were able to look at it and say, this is where I want to start a business, where maybe some other people would go, this is the scariest time to start a business. So what was going through, take me through that evolution of leaving your job and going out on your own.
Yeah, COVID was a reminder to me of what dreams I had in the past. Sometime around 2014, 2015, after years of doing all types of marketing and administrative things for just family and friends, um, finally, I decided, well, what does this look like for me to do it on my own? But at that time, I wasn't thinking in terms of a business and building a business. I was just thinking in terms of being an independent contractor, getting jobs, making money, and moving on. And so no surprises that crashed and burned pretty quickly. And so what Corona did was I had lots of responsibilities and lots of work that I got up every day and went to work physically to do. And having to do that from home for about 5 to 6 months showed me that it wasn't necessary for me to have to actually physically be on location. In fact, I found that I was even more productive at home. There were far less distractions. During that time, I was able to take a lot more liberties and try a lot of different things because we had no choice. Everybody in the world had to figure out how to re-engage their employees, how to re-engage their customers. And so I got kind of caught up in that swirl. I learned a hell of a lot at that time about telling stories, branding and what that looks like, how to engage people on social media and make them feel like they were a part of your world. And so when it came time to go back to the office, on that first day, I knew it in my soul that I had very limited time to do that. And that I was on a quest to be able to do the things that I do every day in an office, that I can do that from home at my own leisure and with clients that I choose. And so, yeah, it was a great, great blessing for me, Corona.
So what is CODE BLAQ?
So I created CODE BLAQ to empower entrepreneurs in a few different departments. That was in the area of administrative support, operational support, and then social media management and marketing. And so for me, it's important to have a little bit of variety, a little spice in my life. And one of the ways that I was able to do that was being able to take on clients who specifically just needed some administrative services, clients who needed more operational services. That would be more so my role with the DJ Susie Group, sort of doing the management of the business behind the scenes so that you all can go out, build businesses, and generate those leads. And then the other thing, of course, is social media marketing. I found that there was a huge void of business owners, no matter what industry they were in, who just needed help managing it, needed help being consistent, not really sure how to create graphics, not really having the time to do that. And these are things that I do in my sleep. These are things that I love to do. These things are quite easy for me to do. And so that's how CODE BLAQ was born. And I'm really happy to say that once I got all of the details together and presented them to you, my coach, who kind of charged me to do these things, that you were the first person to sign up and be my client. So thank you so much for that.
You're very welcome. Well, and I do think that, one of the things that for many people to understand is you didn't necessarily have to be a full-time aspect, right? A lot of entrepreneurs, and we use that term quite a bit, a lot of people who are starting businesses and doing things that don't necessarily realize how important, even those that do administrative services, that don't realize how important the client acquisition and the lead generation part is. Can you speak to what that element of constantly having to promote yourself and recruit your own clients, how does that play into the misconception that a lot of people have if they want to start a business or a side hustle?
Oh, well, that was actually one of the biggest things that I had to learn. Again, coming from just wanting to be an independent contractor, getting a job, enrolling, versus wanting to build a long-term relationship with my clients. Wanting my clients to be able to use me very strategically, like a surgical tool, in a specific aspect of their business. And in 3 months, once we got that part of the business up and running and perfect, we could move on. And you then use me as a surgical tool to get another aspect of the business up and running. And so it was a new lesson for me to learning how to manage personalities. That's a really, really, really big aspect of it. I'm learning how to manage folks' expectations. But then one of the fun things for me is that every client that I work with, what motivates them is different, and what their goals are is different. Everybody is not chasing closings. So it's it's been an interesting lesson to learn, definitely. And it's one that I'm still learning how to nurture my own clients, learning how to nurture my own pipeline. I do it every day for other people. And so one of my big challenges is taking the time to do a lot of that stuff for myself and for my own business. So I'm working on getting there. Yeah.
Well, I think, there's a lot of people out there that probably had very similar feelings that you did. COVID was a reminder of what those dreams were, or maybe some of the things that they wanted to do. So what advice do you have for someone who wants to go out on their own? They want to take that leap of faith. Maybe it's even starting out as a side hustle. What would you say has been the most beneficial aspect of the planning portion and working with a coach about that process?
Well, number one is, how do you build an infrastructure that could kind of sustain long term? How do you build an infrastructure that, as you decide to grow, that you can easily plug either clients or vendors and partners or virtual assistants into that structure? And so that was one of the biggest things for me in working with a coach, the mindset of being an entrepreneur versus being an employee, being an entrepreneur versus being an independent contractor. They are two very different things. So that was very important. And then also just teaching me how to represent myself. I also, when I first started the business, you would speak so kindly of it, and it would come so natural for you. And here it is, my business, and I had no clue how to articulate that, how to walk into a room and sort of own that, yes, I'm an entrepreneur now. So I'm still learning and growing into it. But I will say I started out with just a very simple goal. I just wanted 4 clients. I wanted to do a great job with my 4 clients. I wanted to be able to work at my own leisure. And thanks to your coaching and the fact that you really do push. You really do not like for people to stay in their comfort zones. As much as I fight you on it, as much as I say I'm comfortable where I am, you always push me. You know that I can do more. And I actually was able to grow from my 4 client goal to 8 in just 6 months. Absolutely doubled my income, completely changed my life in just over the course of just 6 months. So it's been pretty remarkable. The difference between having a coach and sort of just winging it and doing it on your own. So I would highly recommend, if you can find somebody that has the blueprint already, why not reach out? Why not follow it? There is no reason for anybody to be starting from scratch. Find previous examples, and then go to work.
I think you probably have one of the most unique perspectives around my world, because you are someone that, of course, we coach on your business, but you're the entire back end of my business. You see the people that work with me that are in coaching. What have you seen over this last, year of real development? What have you seen has been the growth? Like, how would you think that the people that are in our coaching organization, how would they describe this experience?
Oh, wow. Especially for those that was with us. I mean, we grew the coaching group. I think when you started, you maybe had 5, 5 members. Now we're juggling up to 30 people. And so if you were one of those folks who was with us from the beginning, you have noticed that we put actual systems in place, that we go out of our way to reach out with newsletters. We try to come up with content that's applicable to what our actual coaching members need. We hear what they're going through and what they're talking about, and try to find real ways to actually help them fill those gaps. And so one of the biggest needs right now is everybody is looking for a legion, an army of virtual assistants, folks that can just just come in, do a project as needed, not necessarily full-time. And so one of the things I've been looking into, something we've been talking about a lot, is what does that look like? How do we build something, an ecosystem for our coaching members, whereas this becomes a one-stop shop, not only for you as an entrepreneur, but for your team. What about your administrative assistants? What kind of support do they need? And how can we build a system around that? Marketing, of course, it's a constant conversation with folks, right? But I'm only one person. And I would love, as much as I would love to be able to help everybody, we're thinking in terms of, well, how do we sort of build an army of folks around us that cannot not only just support our businesses, but then can also go to help support some of the people that we coach with as well. I mean, I've seen people knock their goals out of the park in very short, limited periods of time. And a lot of them really, really do credit the work that we do here at the Michael Reedy organization, keeping them accountable, sort of lighting a fire under their behinds and creating a community. Because sometimes you're gonna fail and sometimes things are not gonna go perfect. It's so nice to know once a month when we get together that there's other people going through it still, other people having growing pains. And so I still learn so much from both being a part of the community and then working on the back end, trying to figure out sort of how to get ahead of some of these things. It's been great.
Well, what do you see the future of Code Black? I mean, you had mentioned that one of the main goals was to make sure that you never had to go back to working for someone else. And
Right.
you've done that. You've been able to get to a place financially where that is. You're building the infrastructure. What does the future of your business look like?
So the future of Code Black, for me personally, as the CEO, is to go from managing tasks to managing people. And so that's something, and I want to do it methodically and be smart about it. So I'm certainly not in a rush, but in 5 years, I do see myself more so managing people, managing systems, managing personalities, and not so much in the minutia of the day-to-day of handling the actual task. And also, like I said, building a legion of just incredible people all over the country that have a bevy of skills. I mean, I need video editors. I need people that know SEO. I need people who know how to whip up landing pages. And so that's what I see happening in the future, to be able to just build a bigger support structure so that we can then grow and take on more clients, and also figure out how to build something where, again, our coaching members are able to just plug in or plug their admin or marketing teams in without having to do too much, making that a lot easier for folks. So I'm excited about it.
Awesome. Well, I am a huge, I think I'm #1 fan, but I think there's
so.
a few people that would say that they're #1 fan of you. What are you most proud of that you've done in the last year?
I did it. I stuck to it. It was hard. It was a lot of growing pains. There was a lot of uncertainty. Am I going to be able to pay my rent next month? Like, that is a real consideration if you're an entrepreneur. But I did it. I stayed the course. I went from working 14-hour days to working 12-hour days to now getting down to 10-hour days. I'm hoping to get it around 8, but I do see the progress there. Just being more comfortable again and being the CEO of my world. And y'all are so kind, and DJ always says I'm his boss, right? You too, like, I run your world. But really the work that I'm able to do with you all is where I get my fulfillment from. Seeing you all be happy, seeing you all hit your goals. That is my goal. So yeah, I'm just gonna take it easy. I wanna really just enjoy it. I haven't gotten to the point where I can just enjoy it. And I would say in the past month or so, things have kind of leveled out beautifully. And now I'm enjoying it. And so I want to do that for a little bit longer and see how I can move the needle with each of you as well.
Wonderful. Well, I appreciate you joining me. I know you've got a busy day in between everything else, but yeah, obviously we have such great plans for Code Black
Yeah.
and the future. So thank you. I really do appreciate
Thank you, Michael. It was great.